Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Sorry there was no video yesterday, Saturday or Friday. Friday we had the storm roll through here. We lost power. And then yesterday I was just busy with family, so I didn't get a chance to record. So we're recording it now. So it's going to be out a little bit later than I wanted to, but we got a lot to cover since we didn't cover stuff that happened on Friday. Also over the weekend, so there's going to be a lot. There's always going to be the chapters on the bottom. You guys can skip to the things that interest you. So let's get into it and we'll talk about what we have to cover here. So first, we're obviously going to take a look at what happened in the markets on Friday, along with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the miners. And then we are also going to take a look at, since the quarter's already done with, we're going to take a look at Bitcoin's monthly performance, how it has done in the past, what does it mean for us going forward. And then we'll take a look at also a couple stories that we do have. We have Marathon, their CFO is leaving just after a year. Is he going to be getting a nice parachute for that? We have also the U.S. government selling 216 million of C Silk Road Bitcoin this month. They're going to be selling some more going through this year. We'll take a look at how that's going to affect us as well. And then we got some reports from Greenidge for their fiscal year 2022 and along for Sphere 3D. So we got a lot of stuff to get into. And then we're also going to take a look at how the Bitcoin versus Bitcoin miners performed this week. So there's a lot, like I said. So there's going to be chapters on below. It's going to be a long one today. And we'll try to get through all of it as always, okay? So as always, you guys know the drill here, not financial advice for entertainment only. Please do your own research. I'm invested in the following coins and companies for full disclosure. And if you guys enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out. And let's get into it here. So let's see the markets. So the markets were actually up on Friday. S&P was up 1.44% to 4109. Dow Jones was up 1.26 to 33,274. NASDAQ was up 1.68% to 13,181. Bitcoin was also up on Friday. Had a pretty good day. It was up approximately 1.57% on Friday to a close of 28,474. This weekend, we've had two red days so far. We got maybe 6 minutes left in the day currently for Sunday. And we're getting to the new day, but it's looking like a red day here. We have been trying to battle with these, our resistance here. And it looked like we may, on Saturday, it looked like it went into break above it, but it just didn't have the steam to do it. So if we look at the 1 hour chart here, we can see here, I had tried multiple times here to get above our resistance of 28,600. And it bounced off above it, fell below it again, tried a couple more times here. So we're still having that same effect happening here where it's just that resistance is too strong, it looks like right now at 28,600, which we may end up falling down a little bit more. The only thing I can see here is RSI has been coming down a little bit here. We're on the 1 hour chart. We got to the oversold territory here today. Now we're kind of bouncing up a little bit, but looking at where we are on it, you can see that we are at 46. Last time we were up here, we were actually higher in price. So we do have a little bit of a reversal in the price action and the RSI right now. I do think that we might be falling down a little bit more. And then we'll look at the chart also for Bitcoin for the monthly performances, see how it's done usually in April. And we'll take a look at what that actually could mean for us for going into April, May, and June, going into the second quarter. On the 4 hour chart, we can see the same thing. RSI came down to 42 here. We're back up to 49 right now. Last time we were back here, price at that point was also, well, on this one, it looks like it's actually right around here. So it's actually lower on this one. So 4 hours still looks pretty good for us right now as it is. Okay, now if we look at the monthly chart here for for March. March was actually a really good month for us. We were up 23% on the month. We were up barely in February, 0.07%. And in January, we had a really good month of 39.92% up being up. So we've had a pretty good start to the year so far on Bitcoin. If we look at the 3 months time frame, you can see here we had a nice green candle here. We're up 72.26% on Bitcoin in the 3 months, which is really good. Last time we had that good of a quarter was back in 2017. We also had a really good one here in 2020. This was in October, ending October. And then the one ending also in January here of October. This was January 2021. So you can see here that those were really good quarters as well for that. Other than that, we haven't seen many. So it's been a great start to the year. We'll see how the second quarter is going to play out. The second quarter might be a little bit more bearish, I think, but we'll see. We'll take a look at all the data that we do have here. Ethereum also is up nicely here on the first quarter. It's up approximately 52.44%. So that's great there. And then we'll take a look at also the miners, see how they're doing as well for the quarter so far. Okay, so let's get into the miners here, see what they did as far as the first quarter. And boy, the numbers are really low here on some of these guys here. Let me see if we can find it over here. So Annie finished out the day on Friday, up 2.69% to 35 cents. It is up for the quarter, the first quarter of the year, 27%. So that's good there. Argo is up 1.83% on Friday to $1.67 for the quarter. It's up 54.63%. So again, really good there. A little bit less than Bitcoin. Bitcoin was up 73%, so these guys are a little bit under that. Bit Digital was up 7.69% for the Friday, $1.54, but for the quarter, it's up 156.67%. So a really good quarter for them. Definitely beating out Bitcoin by about 2x on that one. Bitfarms was up 4.63 to 97 cents for the quarter. It was up 120% as well. So definitely beat out Bitcoin on that one. It's acting like a leverage play like it should be. Cypher was up 11.48 to $2.33 on Friday, but for the year, for the first quarter, it's up 316%. So a huge gain for them. CleanSpark was up 4.12% to $2.78. It is actually, if you look at the quarter here, it's only up 36.27%. So only half of what Bitcoin has done here. So they are definitely lagging behind, and that could be for multiple reasons. But we won't get into it here. Let's take a look at Course. Course was up 5.16% to 30 cents. And then for the year, let me see here, it's up right now 304% for the quarter so far. So again, also a really good quarter for them. DigiHost was up 3.75 on Friday to $1.66. And for the quarter, it's up 361%. So definitely a leverage play on Bitcoin, even though they're one of the smaller miners that we do cover here, but they've been doing really well. And DMG was up 0.83% to 22 cents. They are up so far this past quarter, up 129%, so definitely doing better than Bitcoin. Greenidge was up 11.85% to 45 cents on Friday. And then for the quarter here, it looks like they were up 56.35%, so a little bit less than Bitcoin. So they're underperforming right now. Hive was up 2.81% to $3.29. And then for the quarter, they're up 128% so far, it looks like. So they've also outperformed Bitcoin as well. Hut 8 was up 6.32 on Friday to $1.85. And for the quarter, they're up 170%. So they're also doing better than Bitcoin. Iris Energy was up 2.68% on Friday to $3.06. And then for the quarter, up 144%. So basically a double of what Bitcoin has done. That's kind of what we usually want to see, is the Bitcoin miners being up 2 to 3x better than Bitcoin has done, as if performed historically that way. Marathon was up 11.37% to $8.72, and they are up on the quarter 154%. So again, almost 2.25% or 2.25x better than Bitcoin. Mawson was down actually 0.64% to $3.10. And for the quarter, they are up 124%, so also really good there. Riot was up 9.3% to $9.99, and they're up 194.69% on the quarter. Really good there, almost 3x of what Bitcoin has done. Soluna was down 4.05% to 27, and they are actually, looks like down for the quarter, well, it's showing us plus 3.53% on the quarter so far. Stronghold was down 4.59% to $6.20, and they are up 29% on the quarter, so underperforming. And then TeraWolf was up 18.26% on Friday, had a great day on Friday. And then for the quarter, it looks like they are up 40.9%, still underperforming what Bitcoin has done so far. Okay, so that's all the miners there. Let's take a look at the network hash rate, see what's going on there. And this is on the 7-day average. We are currently down a little bit to 337 million terahashes per second. And on the 1 day, we are at currently down a little bit too. We are down to 326, but the trend line is still continuing to go up. Okay, so that's all that we have for that. Let's take a look at what happened here with Bitcoin on the monthly time frame, going back to 2013. And we can see here that we have started 2023 with 3 green months. We don't have the numbers here, but we know that March was also a green month here. So the last time we had that good of a start to the year was back in 2021. You can see here we were up 13.93, 13.36%, 30%, and we were, well, for Bitcoin, we were up 39.08%, and then 27%, 23% up this month in March. So we've had a good run there. But last time in 2021, when we had 3 straight in a row months of green, we were then down April, May, and June. But we were, however, if you go back to the year prior, to the ending of the year, we had also a really good fourth quarter as well in 2020. We were up 27%, 42%, 48%. And then 2021, we had a really good, well, January, February, March as well. So we had basically 6 months of going in the green here, which is quite a bit here. I think that's the highest in a row that we've had here of months going in the green. Prior to that, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. We had also 1, 2, 3, 4. So it looks like 4 or 5 is the most that we've had here as far as months continuing going in the green. Other than that, we're usually getting a month of green, month of red, and then we're getting a couple months of green. Here we've had a couple months, also 4 months of green, and then we've got a red month. So my thinking is there is a possibility that we may have a red month in April. Now, typically April itself is usually a green month. If you look at the number of months we have here, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Out of those 9, 5 of those times we were in the green. So the probability is a little bit higher for having a green month than it is for a red month right now. But seeing how we've had 3 green months in a row, I think it's going to be really hard for us to get another 4th month. I'm not saying it's possible, but I think it's going to be a little bit harder for us. And especially with right now Bitcoin, the way it's acting, and it's acting like it doesn't want to break our resistance of 28,600. If it did that, I think we may have a little bit more of a bullish chance getting into a green month, but we'll see. I'd love to get another green month. That'd be great. But I'm also thinking that we may need a little bit of a break here. So going forward, I do think that we may have a little bit of a break here in April, which typically April, May, and June are usually pretty good months to go with. So if we do have a green month, I think it's going to continue on through May and possibly into June as well, but we'll see. And that would be another great green quarter, which would be a kind of a repeat of what we saw at least at the end of 2020 and beginning of 2021. It would just be at the beginning of 2023 for us now. But we'll see how this is going to play out. But I thought this was kind of interesting to take a look at as well. Okay, so there's that one. And let's get into our stories that we do have here, and we'll get through this hopefully relatively quickly here. So Bitcoin miner Marathon Digital CFO to retire after 1 year, right? They hired on a new CFO, and he's going to be taking off here. So Bitcoin miner Hugh Gallagher plans to retire from his role on May 12th, about a year after he was appointed in the role. With hash rate growing and becoming more stable, with the team now in a stronger position, I made the decision to retire, Gallagher said in a statement. He was appointed to the CFO back in March of last year, so basically a year out. And I would have to go back through the documents to see what he's actually going to get. I think usually they vest over 3 years, so he's getting a portion of it, I would imagine. So I don't think he's going to be getting the whole amount, but he's going to be probably getting a third of it or something like that. So they're going to be looking for a new CFO, which is kind of unfortunate. But we'll see how that's going to affect them, if at all, going forward. And then we also have the story here on U.S. government sold 260 million of seized Silk Road Bitcoin this month. So the government will sell the remaining 41,490 BTC in 4 tranches this year. So we still have, well, we got actually 9 months left. So I'm guessing they're going to be selling every 2 months or so, possibly that they're going to be selling this. And they did use Coinbase to sell this, which is kind of funny, even though that they are kind of battling with Coinbase a little bit here, or at least the SEC is. So the U.S. government sold 9,861.17 Bitcoins for almost 216 million on March 14th. The court filing shows the good thing is it didn't really have that big of a negative impact on the price. We saw a little bit of a more pullback here if we look back. So this was March 14th. On March 9th, we had a pretty good sizable pullback in Bitcoin. Let's see if we can go back to March 9th. Where is it? March 1st. Thursday, March 9th, right here. This is where we had, I believe it was a Silvergate Bank that went under. That dropped us down, and then the 14th was here. So it did drop us down a little bit here as well. March 14th, 15th, and then the 16th we were in the red. But it didn't drop us down too far down. I'm looking at Wolf here. Boy. Bitcoin, here we go. Bitcoin on the 14th, where was it? On the 9th. There it is. Okay, so here's the story that we had on the 9th. Sorry about that. I got the charts mixed up. On the 9th, we had Silvergate go under. After that, Bitcoin crashed to a low of 19,548. This was on a Friday. We got the news on Thursday, Friday. We bottomed out here. After that, we kind of went back up. And 14th, you can actually see that they were selling on the 14th, depending on when. We had a huge wick here on the 14th. That was what maybe brought it down a little bit more. We could have possibly gone up higher if that wasn't the case, but we did have a huge wick up. Then we bottomed out a little bit here. And then we continued to bottom down a little bit more on Wednesday, the 15th. But then we continued our rally here, going up into the resistance zone of 28,600, okay? So the Bitcoin sold as part of the 50,000 BTC seized in November following the arrest of James Zong, who pleaded guilty to wire fraud after the government alleged he manipulated the transaction system on darknet market Silk Road in 2012. And the government intends to liquidate the remaining 41,480 Bitcoin in 4 tranches over the course of the calendar year, the filing said. So I'm guessing probably within every 2 months or so, they're going to sell it off. So we may see a little bit of a pullback possibly or if we're heading into like a bull run a little bit, they might bring it down a little bit for us then. So we got something to be mindful of and be careful when this does happen. All right, so that's it for that. Let's get into some of the financial reports that we do have here. We'll do Greenidge first, then we'll do Sphere, and we'll get into the weekly Bitcoin versus Bitcoin miners as well. So Greenidge generation reports fourth quarter and full year 2022. As you are all aware, Greenidge, I've covered them a little bit in last year, but then they started or stopped providing monthly production updates. After that, they were kind of in my doghouse. They're still in my doghouse until they start providing monthly operation updates. But we do keep track of them just to see how they are doing. In case they do start provide the monthly production updates again, we'll have all the information already for us, so we're not too far behind, and then I don't have to spend hours going back and digging through all the information. So here's what we got. Fourth quarter 2022 highlights. Total revenue was 16.0 million compared to January 2023. Guidance of 15 million. Cryptocurrency data center revenue was 12.2 million, in line with January 2023 guidance. They produced 683 Bitcoin in the fourth quarter. Adjusted EBITDA was a loss of 4.9 million, in line with January 2023 guidance of a loss of 4 million to 6 million. And then adjusted net loss from continuing operations was 25.7 million. So they're still losing a heck of a lot of money here. Active mining capacity of approximately 2.4 exahash from 24,200 miners as of December 31st. Cash, short-term investments, and cryptocurrency holdings of 15.7 million as of December 31st, which is okay. And then full year 2022 highlights, total revenue of 90 million. Cryptocurrency data center revenue of 73.8 million. Produced 2,731 Bitcoins in 2022, which is a sizable amount. And then GAAP net loss from continuing operations of 269.7 million, including 176.3 million of non-cash impairment charges and 16.7 million charges for remeasurement of environmental liabilities. So that was a pretty big one there as well. And adjusted EBITDA loss of 1.1 million for the year. So a little bit better than for the quarter. Adjusted net loss from continuing operations of 60.4 million. It's a lot. And then some first quarter actions here that we do have. They did restructure their secured debt with NYDIG, reducing debt and accrued interest obligations from 75.8 million to 17.3 million. So that's good there. So they are doing some good things here. They also restructured promissory note with B. Riley, reducing debt and accrued interest obligations from 10.6 million to 8.7. So that's good there. They also entered into a hosting agreement with NYDIG affiliates with gross profit sharing component that allows Greenidge to participate in Bitcoin price appreciation. So this is good as well for them. And then Atlas and B. Riley each invested 1 million through purchase of Class A common shares. That's good also. Excuse me. Raised additional 6.3 million of cash from net proceeds from sale of equity under the ATM program. They completed a sale of portion of the support.com business for 2.6 million. So they're doing all the right things to get them in line to be possibly profitable. And then they expect to end the first quarter with 17 million of cash. They executed an agreement for CoinFX to host 750 of Green, their own miners. And they're continuing to evaluate options for deployment of Greenidge's over 9,000 remaining miners. So they still have a lot of miners that need to get installed. That would possibly get them close to, what is it going to be, over 900 petahash, right? Almost 1 exahash of miners they have to get installed still. And they're actively pursuing sale of excess real estate to help them, get cash on hand and things like that. So this is kind of what we got going here. Let's take a look at the numbers that I do have for them. So the numbers are going to be in the miners 2022 sheet. Since they are in the doghouse, like I said, they aren't in the 2023 sheet numbers, but they are available to the Patreon members. So I will update that, or I'll upload them today after I'm done doing the video. I will upload these files for you guys, so you guys will have access to it if you guys are interested in it. Okay, and that's, like I said before, it's only $4 a month for my Patreon members, and thank you to everyone there for their continued support. So let's get into the numbers that we do have here on Greenidge. Greenidge says it's about 44.6 million shares outstanding. Market cap is really low, 12.9 million right now. Based on that, they are at 2.5 exahash. I think they're pretty undervalued right now based on those numbers. And the main reason for this is right now is they are having a hard time getting their books in line or in order, I guess you could say. And I think they're just being discounted possibly with the thought of possible bankruptcy because they are losing so much cash and everything else. So we'll see. That's one of the thoughts there. And then if you look at the numbers here, we'll get back into these numbers here in a little bit. These are all my metrics that I use for all the miners here. And then we'll take a look at current assets. So cash and cash equivalents, including restricted cash, is down to 15.2 million from 38 million that was in Q3. They were at 96 million in Q1, so you can see that they're burning definitely through cash here. Digital assets was only 348,000 compared to 337,000 in Q3, so not a huge increase there. Accounts receivable was 2.6 million, almost half of what they had in Q3 of 4.7 million. Prepaid expenses went down to 6.2 from 9.6, and then emission and carbon offset credits was 1.2 million from about the same amount right there on that one. A couple of new things that came into play here with the fiscal year 2022 numbers. Income tax receivable was 798,000, and then current assets held for sale was 6.4 million, which they haven't reported that anywhere else on here in the prior quarters. So that's kind of interesting there. Must be the coins that they're maybe hodling a little bit right now. And then total current assets, we got 33 million compared to 54 million, so a big decrease there, about 21 million for that. Property and equipment was 130 million. You can see here that it's a huge decrease here. I believe they had to put, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe they had to give back a lot of the miners that they did have. One of the facilities, I believe, but that's why that went down to 130 million from 246 million. And let's see, what else do we have here? They didn't provide anything as far as right of use, intangible assets, goodwill, or deferred taxes in the fiscal year 2022 numbers. We do have other long-term assets was provided as 292,000. So total assets 163 million compared to 307. That's basically half of what they had just in a quarter of a time frame. Okay. Current liabilities, accounts payable, and accrued liabilities is up to 9.6 million. Right, that's concerning. There, it was down to 4 million. Accrued emissions expenses 6 million from 5.2, so a little bit of an increase there. Accrued expenses is down actually, so that's good there, 11.3 from 15.5. And then let's see, what else do we have here? Long-term debt, current portion is 67 million from 73 million, so that's down a little bit, so that's good there. And total current liabilities didn't really change much here, actually went up a little bit to 98.7 from 98.3. So that's a concern there as well on that one. And then when we look at long-term debt, is down to 84 from 86, so that's good. They got that down a little bit. Environmental liability is up 27 million from 22 million, so that's obviously a concern. And then total liabilities is 210 million from 217 million, so it's down a little bit overall for everything. Okay, looking down at the revenue now, revenue was also down here to 16 million roughly for the quarter. For the year was 89, almost 90 million right there. But you can see how it's been, the trajectory has been continuing to go down here. First quarter was 37 million, second quarter was 31, 29, now 16. So that's almost half, right? That's why the stock has been beaten down so much. Cryptocurrency data center is down to 12.2 million. It was at 23, 20, 18, and then for the year it's 73. Power and capacity has come up a little bit here, 3.7 from 3.6. So they are making a little bit more on that. And then they didn't provide anything for services and other, which is surprising on here. They had 8.5 million in Q1. Q2 was 8.4. Q3 was 7.4. Not sure where that all went to, or how they're controlling it differently now, possibly. I wonder if that was part of the sale of support.com part of it. I think that might be it. Okay. Expenses wise, cost of revenue for their own self-mining was 11.1 million. So that is a little bit decreased from 14.6. Cost of revenue power was 2.9 from 3.7. So that's good. That's a decrease there as well. Cost of revenue services, well, that was down basically 11.3 million, but that's, I think, for support.com that got sold. Selling and general administration was way down to 1.2 million here in the fourth quarter compared to 10 million in the third quarter. So that is good to see there. So they are doing some good things here. Merger and other costs, it was actually negative. They didn't provide anything in here. Depreciation amortization was at 12.4 from 13.8. So that has been increasing here over the last couple months. It still stayed pretty high as well. And then let's see, what else do we have here that was kind of interesting. Impairment of long-lived assets was 104 million. It looks like for the fourth quarter, total was 176 million for the year. And then total operating costs and expenses was 124 million. That's based on, well, you had that 104 million in there. That's going to bump it way up. So that was a huge number there that brought them down as well. Gross profit, we're looking at, well, negative 675%. Gross profit data center minus depreciation was 1,000 or 1.1 million roughly. And then gross profit minus depreciation is about 8.99%. So that's pretty low. For the year, it looks like it was about 37% overall. So, but it has been getting worse. That's why, like I said, the stock is kind of doing the way it is. Operating expenses, interest expenses, a lot of interest expense, 5.8 million on interest. That's a lot. They got to get that under control. And let me see here. Income loss before income tax expense, negative 114 million. And they have some other expenses here as well. Net loss was 112 million, it looks like, for the quarter, 271 million for the year. Okay, so they're doing some good things, but they are doing also some things that are definitely affecting their bottom line here and investors' interest in them as well. Okay, so that's it for that. And then looking at my metrics for them, BTC mine for the Q4 was 683 for the year, 2,732. Average hash rate for the quarter was about, 2.4 exahash. For the year was 1.8. BTC mined per exahash was 284 for the quarter, which was pretty low. Others have been higher than that. And then BTC exahash per the year was 1,517. And cost to mine 1 BTC was showing up here at 182,000, I believe. Yeah, that should be multiplied by 1,000 because they're using the numbers without the thousands lines in there. Cost to mine 1 BTC depreciation was 16,310, sorry. And for the full year, it's coming up to be about 16,810 on it. Enterprise value, 13 million, right? You can kind of see that where you're looking at it and look at the market cap right now, 12 million, 13 million. That's kind of what we're getting for them. So that's kind of where that price is coming in at. Debt to equity ratio, I'm getting a negative 4.48 for some reason on this one. They have, let's see here. If we take total liabilities divided by total stockholder equity, that's what we get, and that's what the number is. Current ratio, 0.3349. So that has been coming down as well, which isn't good. And then book value of equity assets, negative 47 million. Price to book ratio is negative 2.75, right? Negative 0.275, sorry. Revenue was 16,000, but that includes also, or 16 million, that includes power as well. General administrative on that was 1.2 million. So that's only 7.66% of their total revenue is their general administration, which is actually pretty good. That's come down way down. So that's actually really good there to see that. Okay. Overall, like I said, they need to continue to perform well, pay down debt, keep costs down as low as they can, continue to mine as long as they can each month without I would think without any curtailment or as little curtailment as possible, especially with Bitcoin being at where it's at right now, around 28,000. If Bitcoin continues to go up higher, that should also help them out in the long run. But this is definitely a very risky stock, in my opinion, I think, based on what we're seeing just on the financial sheets alone, and then the problems that they have in the past as well. It's kind of iffy right now. Okay, we'll see if they can get out of this mess, and hopefully with Bitcoin going up in value, that should help them out, but they have a long way to go there, okay? So that's it for Greenidge. Let's take a look at the next one that we do have here, which is going to be on Sphere 3D. Okay, so Sphere 3D reports fiscal year 2022 financial results, operational updates, and they've also had a very tough year. They've started the last year in January with 100 petahash, and they only got to 440 petahash by the end of the year. Most of the year, 3/4 of the year, they were mining at 100 petahash. Well, that's never good because each month the Bitcoin network hash rate goes up. You're actually generating less and less Bitcoin, and as Bitcoin price was coming down, they were also making less. So let's take a look at some of the quotes that we have here, or the highlights. So revenue increased by 2.4 million to 6.1 million during the year ended December 31st. With our entry into the digital asset mining industry, right, this was kind of the first year of fully mining. The company mined 131 Bitcoin in 2022, our first year mining Bitcoin. The company ended the year with 370 petahash. Because I was off a little bit there from memory. The company renegotiated at an above-market fixed price contract with Bitmain and miner S19G Pros. So that's good there. They also had some other miners that they basically didn't go through with the deals that they had, which was good because they were much higher priced. Things have fallen back down, so it's better to kind of get out of those deals and rework things and buy miners at a lower price. So hash rate updates, Sphere 3D had approximately 0.4 exahash hash rate at hashing at December 31st, with 1.5 exahash expected to be hashing by mid-May 2023. So definitely a slight improvement there, 1.1 exahash roughly, but they got to execute a lot better on this. They haven't been executing at all that well this past year. They've had a lot of problems, and we've covered those in the past. Every time they came up, we talked about it here. Okay, so that's it. And then they're going to the numbers here. We'll take a look at their numbers as well. And I'm using the numbers provided by the SEC for both of these guys, for Greenidge and Sphere 3D as well. Let's take a look at what I have in my spreadsheet for them. And then we'll get into the last part of it. So Sphere 3D currently is, let's see here, 68 million shares outstanding, market cap 24 million right now, stock price at 35 cents roughly. And you can see here that they've been mining, let me see here, 100 petahash basically all the way through November. December was a little bit better month for them, 365. January was 443. And they've kind of stuck there for the time being. They're trying to find places to install their miners. Hopefully they'll have a little bit more success here going into Q2 than they did in Q1 or the year prior. So we'll see how they do. Okay, numbers we'll get into here at the end. Current assets, 1.3 million. So that's down from the 4.1 million that they had in Q3. And we're seeing that trend continue on here. So they're burning through a lot of cash here. Digital assets they had is 1.6 million. So they've been hodling a little bit more as time has gone on. Restricted cash is stayed the same at 206,000. Accounts receivable is down a little bit, 274 from 218. Notes receivable, 3.8 million from 5.5. So that's down also. Other current assets is down to 3 million from 17 million. And you can see that trend line also coming down here a little bit here. Okay. So total current assets is 10.2 million. So that's way down, basically 33% of what they had in Q3 of 29.3 million. And then let me see investments. They didn't have any investments here reported for the fourth quarter. Mining equipment is at 34.25 million. Intangible assets, 9.4. So that's way down here from 44. They also had funds held in a trust account, 10.29. I think this is part of that bankruptcy. Was it with Core, I think? Core Scientific or the other one, I can't remember now. But they had prepaid a deposit and they haven't gotten that back yet. So that's basically held up there. Other assets is 18.7 million. So that's down from 82 million as well. So that's a huge decrease there as well. So total assets is at 83 million compared to where they were at 210 million. Like I said, it's almost 33% of where they were prior. Current liabilities. Liabilities are also going up here over the quarters. So 2.9, almost 3 million here compared to 954,000 in Q3. Accrued liabilities, 1.5. So that's actually good. It's down from the 2.7. Accrued payroll, 696,000 from 158 in Q3. So they're kind of getting back up there. Deferred revenue, 160,000 from 157. So that's pretty close to where they were. Other current liabilities, also a huge increase here to 814,000 from 50,000. And then total current liabilities is 6.2 million from 4 million. So another increase there. Total liabilities is 11.9, almost 12 million from 5.1. So another increase there as well, almost double. Well, it is double plus of where they were before. Let's see here. Shareholder not interested in that. Revenues. So digital mining revenue was 698,000 for the quarter, 3.4 million for the year. Service and product revenue, they got 730,000. Not sure where that's coming from exactly, but that's almost as much. Well, it's more. At least in the fourth quarter, was more than they were mining. So total revenue was 1.4 million for the quarter for them. Cost of digital mining revenue was 398, so about 50%, a little bit higher than that. Cost of service products was 377, also about 50%. Sales marketing, 278,000. Research and development, 213. Not sure what you're doing research and development into. Seems kind of strange for a Bitcoin miner. General administrative was negative 1.798. Trying to figure that out exactly how the heck that happened. They reported 24.13 million for the year. I just took the numbers, subtracted the numbers here from Q1, Q2, and Q3 and got negative 1.78. Not sure on that one. Depreciation and amortization was 13.3 million. That's up from 7.4. Impairment of digital assets, 240,000 from 138, so an increase there. And they also had some here provisions for losses on deposits. So that's the 16 million here. Impairments of goodwill, acquired intangible assets, 13 million. Impairment of mining equipment, 75 million. So a lot of impairments here for them. Total operating expenses was 13. And loss from operations was, that's probably not right, is it? Let's see, we're looking at that. And that should be probably, there we go, 118 million for that. There we go. That makes more sense because we didn't include those in Q4. We are now, but we were including it here. Yep. Okay, so that's fixed. Loss from operations was negative 116 million. That's a lot considering that they only made what did they make here? Revenue, total revenue was 1.4 for the quarter. So a lot was putting into it, even for the year, 157 million negative. It's a lot, but that's some of it. Stuff is non-cash, anyways. It's just on the books. Okay, let's see here. Gross profit minus depreciation was 42%, 42.98. For the year is 40.63, so that's good. And let's see here. Other income expenses, if there's anything that jumps out. There's nothing here that really jumps out. So loss before income taxes was negative 117 for the quarter, negative 192 for the year. Net loss was 117 million, and for the year, 192. Loss per share, $1.75 for the quarter, $2.81 for the year. Definitely not a great performance there from them. Okay, so looking at the metrics that we do have here for them, they mined approximately 39.14 Bitcoins for the quarter. For the year, about 126. Their, like I said, starting hash rate was basically 100 petahash. They ended the quarter with 365. And the year, they started at 0. Basically, it went up to 365 petahash towards the end of the year. So very, very small growth from them. BTC mined on average per exahash here was 168, so way, way below from where everybody else is. Same thing for the year here, 683. Cost to mine 1 Bitcoin is actually not that bad for the quarter here. It's about $10,000 per Bitcoin, so that's pretty good. And without depreciation, all that stuff, it's about 3 million. So that's pretty high there. For the year, it was 16,000 on average for them. They were pretty high here in the first quarter, 37,000, 16.6 thousand in Q2, 14.6. So they've been doing a pretty good job getting that down. So that's good there. Debt to equity is 0.343. So that's actually up here from Q3. And then current ratio is 1.65, way down here from 7.15. So looking at that trend line, that is concerning here. We have to keep an eye on that one. Usually we want that one to be higher is better. You don't want to be too high though, because then you have got too much cash sitting around and not utilizing it. So we got to keep an eye on that one. Book value right now is 71 million roughly. And let's see here, enterprise value is 10.7. EBITDA would be negative 103 million right now for them. Revenue, like I said, was 1.4 million. General administrative was actually negative, so that one's coming up weird for me for some reason. If you guys know why that's coming up negative, I'd love to hear it. And also, I'm going to try tracking all the shares that they report on the quarterly results for all these. So I'm going to go through some of the other ones that we do have in here and go through them as well. Okay. So a lot of numbers as always. They've had a really tough year in 2022. Don't know how they're going to get better in 2023, really. We've seen very limited growth from them currently in this, well, in the first 3 months. We'll see what they report for, what are we in now? January, February, March. So March numbers, we'll see what they report for that. If they had any growth in that, that would be good. But other than that, they got machines coming in, but they don't have any place to plug them in. They're not plugging them in. That's a problem. And that's why the stock is where it's at right now, unfortunately. All right, they got to execute a lot better on that. Got to get their expenses under control as well and everything else. And then they might be able to survive this. But we do have them at, let's see, what do we have them at here? We have them at currently at 1.7 exahash that they're supposed to get to for all the miners that are reported of being brought in, right? They had a bunch of miners here, about 36,000, that they canceled the deals on those, it looks like, based on the news that we got from them last year. So we have them at 1.7 right now is where they're supposed to get to. Okay, so they're going to be down on the lower end as far as miners are concerned, but we'll see if they can actually grow from there, right? Okay, so that's it for them. Let me know what you guys think, if you guys are into this miner or not, but right now they're just not doing that well. Okay, so lastly, let's take a look at the miners for the week, see how they did against Bitcoin, and we'll call it a day. Like I said, this is going to be kind of a long video, so if you guys are in it to this far, thank you so much for watching. Okay, let's get through this here relatively quickly so we can be going on our business. As always, the green bars are how far the miners have come up from their 52-week lows. The red bars are how low the miners have gone from their 52-week highs. Okay, so that is a moving number there. Each week, that number gets updated a little bit. So TeraWolf is up 74%, down 89. Ride is up 207%, down only 52%. DigiHouse is up 435, down 57. And Marathon is up 180, down 70. BitDigital is up 190, down 58. Cypher is up 509%, really up nicely here. down 38. So they're probably one of the best ones performing here, looks like, on this right now, other than maybe Core, but Core's still way down from their 52-week highs. Argo is up 363%, down 83. Hut 8 is up 137, down 67. Bitfarms is up 158, down 74. Hive is up 141, down 69. Iris is up 200%, down 81. Bitcoin is up 82% so far from its 52-week low, and it's 39% away from its 52-week high. Excuse me. CleanSpark is up only 59.8% and down 79.2. Sphere is up only 51.9 and down 87. And then we got here Core Scientific is up 641%, down still 96%. So you can see how badly they've been beaten down here. DMG is up only 139% and down 60%. And then Mawson is up 171%, down still 90%. So Mawson has been beaten down pretty hard here. Argo still 83%, along with TeraWolf is way down as well. Who else do we have down here? Iris is still way beaten down. CleanSpark, Sphere, obviously. We just talked about them a little bit here. And then we're starting to get into more in the 70, 69 range. Those guys are starting to kind of bounce a little bit better than some of these other guys are. Okay, so when we look at the Bitcoin performance for this week here, we'll do this by just each week. We can see that Bitcoin is actually up a little bit this week, at 3.57%, and we do have a lot of miners that did far better than Bitcoin, which is kind of nice, which is kind of what we want to see with the miners. They're like a leverage play on them. Not always works out that way, but for the most part, it does. So you can see TeraWolf was up 20%, Riot is up 15, DigiHost is up 12, almost 13, Marathon's up 11.5 roughly, BitDigital's up 10%, Cypher is up 8, almost 9, Argo is up 7.7, HUD is up 6.3. So all of these guys have done pretty much double what Bitcoin has done in that week. Then you got Bitfarms up 5.6, Hive up 5.4, Iris at 4.4. Then you got CleanSpark at 3.3, Sphere is up 0.86. Core is basically 0, was flat on the week. DMG was actually down 1.29%, and Mawson was down 6.06. So if we look at the numbers, something I wanted to take a look at here. Now it doesn't work out that way because I was going to see where's Bitcoin. Bitcoin's up 82%. CleanSpark is up 60%, so it is lagging behind them, but they're still way down compared to where Bitcoin is. I was just having a thought in my brain there. Okay, let's take a look at the 4 weeks chart. It's looking pretty good here on that one as well. So if we look at that one, we can see that Bitcoin is up 41%. Now, some of these miners that have done better would be, or at least a double, is Riot. Riot's only the only one that's been doing really well here from 4 weeks ago compared to Bitcoin. It's a 2x. Cypher is pretty close there as well, 76%. Marathon's up 63. TeraWolf is up 62. BitDigital is up 54. Hot 8 is up 46. DigiHost is up 45. Bitcoin's up 41. So those have all done better. Hive is up only 40%. Bitfarms 36. CleanSpark 33. Mawson 28. Sphere 24, along with Core. Argo's up 23. DMG 22. And Iris up 19. So those guys have done worse than Bitcoin on the 4 weeks. Look at the 8 weeks as well. And we can see here that Bitcoin is actually, let's see, where's Bitcoin? Bitcoin is up 31% from 8 weeks ago. The guys that did better, or double at least, are Iris, 73, and Riot, again, 81%. You got Sphere up 54%, Marathon up 47, TeraWolf up 46, Bitcoin's up 31, BitDigital is up 30. Then you got Core up only 12, Hive 11, DigiHost 10, Hot 8 up 10, Bitfarms up 7, Mawson barely 0.65 here. DMG is actually down 2.13%. CleanSpark's down 5.92%. Sphere is down 6.4%. Argo down 12.1%. And then lastly, let's take a look at the 12 weeks chart here. We can see this is basically going back to the beginning of the year. This is where things have gotten really good for us. And if we look at that, you can see here that, see here, Bitcoin is up 43%. Most of these guys have done at least 1.5x, if not 2x. Some have done even like a almost, what is that going to be, an 8x. So Core Scientific's up, 8x from where Bitcoin is, 253%. DigiHost is up 110, Cypher 109, Iris 67, Riot is 65%. Then you got Bitcoin 43, BitDigital at 30, Mawson at 29, Hut 8 at 17, Argo at 13, Marathon at 13, CleanSpark up 7, TeraWolf up 6, Hive up 5, DMG down, along with Bitfarms down 9, and Sphere is down 17% as well from 12 weeks ago. And then looking at the numbers that we do have here, we've seen pretty good, almost 3 weeks of pretty much being in the green here, the last 3 weeks. We'll see if we're going to get another week of possibly being in the green as well in this week, as we've had in the past year, beginning of January. We had pretty much almost 4 weeks of being in the green. We'll see if we can continue that. And we've had a little bit of a breather here in between. But it's normal to see where you have a couple of weeks of green, a couple of weeks of red, a little bit of a relief going on in the market, and then you start getting that rally again for them. Okay, so that's it. Right now, it's kind of hit and miss as far as which way things are going to go with Bitcoin and where it's going to end up at on the charts. For April, like I said, April historically is usually up about 55% of the time is up in the green, but we'll see how that's going to play out here on it going into this year. We've had 3 months where we've been in the green already. We may be in the red, but we'll see where that all ends up at. Okay, so that's it. We've gotten through all that. We'll see. Also, we're in the new month, so tomorrow I expect probably at least Bitfarms, maybe CleanSpark, a couple of the other guys as well. Those guys usually provide their operation updates relatively quickly. So we'll get through that. We'll also see what happens in the markets tomorrow, where we are heading. So as always, thank you so much for everyone watching. Thank you to my Patreon members for their continued support. We're up to, I think, 62 members now, which is great. So thank you there. And I hope you guys had a great weekend. I wish you guys a great week ahead. We'll see where things end up at, and we'll always discuss it. All right. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.